Hey everybody, figured I'd just put up a quick video talking about DDR5, DDR4 RAM cooling. It's one of those things that I've pursued because, as we all know, RAM, once you either ramp up the voltage, tighten the timings, hit that T-Refi, a whole bunch of other things, you're going to quickly find that temperatures can rule if your RAM can pass fail and not the actual structure of the RAM itself. So I decided I wanted to get some air cooling, and it was kind of all over the map a little bit, so I decided to try 3 different methods. 4 really, but still 3. So the contenders are obviously just the stock sticks themselves. Then I decided that I picked up a X870E Crosshair Dark Hero, and I decided I wanted to give their RAM cooling a try. It comes with a RAM cooler built right into it, that you can add to the motherboard. It's a 60 by 60 fan. And I also wanted to try 140 millimeter. And last but not least, I wanted to try Thermalright's dual fan setup because that one seems to be rated the highest. So the temperatures themselves, and this is all on a set of Corsair Vengeance 9200 sticks DDR5. This is the Dark Hero itself. So after spending a couple days testing, just running a basic TM5, that's all it took. The sticks would top out. Let's take a look, see here. The sticks would top out at 76 degrees, roughly. Sometimes they'd pass, sometimes they wouldn't, but as we know, that is way too hot, and there's no consistency. And that's just trying to really tighten up at 6,000, because Corsair's heat sinks are atrocious. Atrocious. And we all know this. So the first thing I did was I decided to try, let me get my stuff in order here. This is Asus's solution to cooling your RAM. It's a little bracket that comes with the Dark Hero. It attaches back near the AIO ports, the fan headers and stuff, the CPU headers, and it puts a nice stream of air right through your modules. I initially tried this with the fan they included, which is a 60 by 60 fan. First of all testing is on the chassis 1 connector at max settings. So every single fan device is going as fast as it can go for consistency. And after I tested the Asus device, and it works, if you want a quick and easy way to bring your RAM sticks down, you can see right here, it dropped the temperatures by 26 degrees, which is insane. But it did. I then picked up a Noctua, their 60 millimeter by fan, because let's be honest, the Asus fan was way too loud and it had a very bad pitch to it. But then again, everything's running at max. You would probably try to get in there and tune. But if you're looking for max performance, you're most likely going to have everything running at max. I found that with the Noctua performance fan, it's quieter. It's definitely quieter. Audible, but definitely quieter. But shockingly, the results were identical. Literally 48 point AC on both DIMMs on average. 48, 50. I ran a test back-to-back numerous times, swapping between the two fans. And the Noctua and the Asus, the fan they include, performance-wise, are the same. So if you do pick up an Asus board, and it comes with their fan solution, I'm gonna be honest with you, I laughed at first at their little fan solution. I did. I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to do not much of anything. And when I saw those final temperatures, I was like, clearly Asus engineers did their homework. And not only did they do their homework, but their fan was just as performant as Noctua's world-class leading fan. But the one caveat is it's a lot louder. And if you're okay with that, that's fine. But again, here's the type of temps you will see. Next, I tried the good old-fashioned 140 millimeter fan right over the top. I tried it at various heights. It really didn't make a difference. I mean, unless it was so high up that I really wasn't getting hit with the fan flow. But anywhere from 2 inches, 3 inches, 4 inches, the results were identical, to be honest with you. And those results were about the same as the fan, which again had me start thinking all roads lead to Rome. The heat sinks on the Corsair, which are trash, don't forget, they're trash, had topped out, and excessive airflow just was not going to change how low the temperature could get. Everything was leading into the same area. So you can technically go with a 140 millimeter fan, probably even 120 millimeter, even though I find a 140 millimeter fan actually covers the entire width of the DDR modules, where a 120 millimeter fan will not. But results-wise, between the backflow 60 millimeter by 60 millimeter and the 140 millimeter are effectively the same. So then at that point, I did some research and I picked up one of these. This is the Thermalright dual fan solution that snaps in or has a complete kit. You can mount it either which way. You can either snap it over your modules with our very stiff retention bracket, or you can take that off and you can actually just use long posts that come up off your motherboard. That's probably what I would pick if I had a choice. It has ARGB and all this stuff. I didn't care about any of that. I may turn it on later, but for now, nah. So I connected that up, and now we have a clear winner, where all of a sudden the 140 millimeter and the 60 millimeter were getting roughly the same temperatures, whether the airflow was from the top or side channeled. But then the Thermalright is clearly the winner, dropping temperatures even a further, 6-7 degrees, which is, 10 to 15%, close to 20. So that's clearly the winner. It is noisy too. Not as noisy. Nothing is as noisy as Asus's fan. Asus, that fan has some kick. But like I said, every single thing was running full tilt. We went to the Q fan controls and just put everything at max speed so everything would remain consistent. You can obviously go in there and tune it. My final choice is going to be, obviously, the Thermalright, because it's clearly the most performant out of all of them. Noise-wise, it's a touch louder than the Noctua fan. The quietness is definitely the 140 millimeter approach, especially if you pick something like this. This is a Be Quiet Silent Wing 3, and it lives up to its name. Right now, it's running. I left it hooked up so you could hear. This is it running full tilt, as fast as it can go. And it is just as quiet as a fan can get. You really have to look for the noise. The other ones, you don't have to look too hard. You can find it. It's there for you. But if you're looking for a good trade-off between noise and cooling, then I would go with the 140 millimeter. And I would go with a Be Quiet Silent Wings 3 or a Noctua equivalent. Something that's made to run full tilt or close to it and can run fairly quiet. And as I said, if you want the best performance, that's clearly going to be the Thermalright. It is actually, after having run 3 different tests with 3 different fans, I fully expected this to kind of clock in exactly the same. Right around 48, 49, maybe 50. So, like I said, I was very, very, very surprised to see these kind of results. And it totally changed my outlook from somebody who consistently has used a 140 millimeter fan to cool my RAM. Now, obviously, all the air cooling in the world can't compare to water cooling. It can't compare to custom heat sinks, which can help. So this test was run with 4 different devices, and obviously nothing on them at all, but with very, very poor heat sinks. A good friend of mine calls them heat blankets because some of these are just terrible. But you have some manufacturers that make phenomenal heat sinks for their RAM. The best heat sinks I've personally seen on RAM that are heavy and dense and really conduct a lot of heat would be Team Group's. Their DDR5 heat sinks, RAM heat sinks are phenomenal. And KingBank. KingBank makes some dense, heavy, performant heat sinks for their DDR5 RAM. So what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to run all these tests back on either one of those sets of RAM that have much better heat sinks and see if I can generate a difference with much thicker shields around them. But that's it for now. Hopefully this will let you pick and give you an idea if you've ever wondered, my RAM is running hot. What's the quickest, easiest, and best solution? TLDR? Thermalright. Thermalright, hands down. Quietest? Be Quiet or Noctua equivalent silent fan that you can run full tilt and it really makes no noise. All right. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.